Why isn't the sweat coming out?
Man, I ran yesterday in the middle of the day at 91 degrees. That was a terrible idea.
Mercy. That's a rough one, man. What's the humidity like up there? I say up there. What's it like
Up there.
up there in the
Up here where
northern
the
south?
air is cleaner. it's dude, it's funny. A couple of days this week, it was just it's thick. Go out at like 5 a.m., get my 4 mile hike in the morning with the dogs, and the first couple of days this week were really thick, and then it was like I guess it was Wednesday. I walked out, it was like 62 degrees. Beautiful morning, just great for getting after it out here. And then again this morning, man, just walking into a swamp cooler. What is this thing, man? So it's all over the map, Gabe. Some days you sweat and some days you don't, and it's just one of those. It's not like down south where it is you are 100% guaranteed to break a sweat.
Yeah, no doubt, man. We're in triple digits down here right now. Well, we were today, yeah. Brutal. Yeah, just brutal. Yep, but we're gonna make it, dude. It's gonna be a hot one. It's only June. I tell you what's gonna be really hot is July, and I'll tell you where is gonna be really hot: Nashville.
Yeah.
Man, it's gonna be so cool, dude. I'm looking forward to it.
I was about to say you should have saved that for when we were live, and then I looked up. Shane just snuck that in.
Snuck it on in
Talking
there.
about getting out there and sweating, getting after it a little bit. Yeah, everybody wants to hear weather talk. That's what people tune into Bitcoin Veterans for. Hey, how's the weather out there in Iowa? How's the weather in Tennessee? How about Georgia? Yeah, it's hot, y'all. It's summer. That's what's going to happen. It's a heat wave. No shit. It's going to go on for a few more months.
Yeah. First time having a summer, hey? Yeah. No shit, it's hot. So, you guys been up to anything cool the last couple of weeks? I'm just curious.
We did some things. Yeah,
really
done some things.
That's a good tease. We're going to cover a little bit of that tonight in the show. Everybody should stick around. Yeah, last week was pretty interesting. Tennessee get together with three of the guys here. Randy Kelly was also with us, and man,
nice.
Man, I wish I could have been there for that. That looked like it was a lot of fun.
Me too.
It was rough. Like, we had steaks to eat from KC Cattle Company, and we had extras, so we just had to eat them.
We had to hang out for hours on end too.
Yeah,
together in the same place.
That sounds.
Can you imagine?
Brutal.
Yeah,
it's rough.
Like, imagine this, but in real life and for longer. I mean,
I'm surprised you survived to tell the tale, dude.
Yeah, how'd you do it?
Steak
and coffee,
guns,
and bourbon,
steak, a little bit of bourbon.
Let me tell you how much steak that Jordan has. He's got more steak than I think I do. We ordered the same half beef, and the fact that he still got that stuff laying around, like, he's literally offering up extra pieces of it for like pocket steak, just in case you need a snack. I don't know. Everybody's missed the market on this except for Jordan. Like, he's just sitting there going like, hey, I got all this extra steak over here. Why don't you just put that in your pocket, take it for a late night snack? You never know when you wake up at 2 a.m. Maybe that bourbon's treating you a little funny. You got to power that stuff down. Just put a little protein on top. You're right.
It was rough. You got to have a pocket steak.
I got 2 big boxes from KCC today of the ancestral blend, like the ground beef with the liver and the stuff ground into it.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I'll let you know how that is.
That's the healthy stuff right there, man. That's good.
Gonna put a little in it. You know what I mean? Like that little bit of liver. So it's an acquired taste for some people. Some people can't do liver.
Man, I'm down with the liver.
It's
Bring
good
it
for you.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's like one food I actually have not tried yet.
Liver?
I haven't had anybody offer up like providing it or like cooking it.
They're in stores too.
Oh yeah, but like if I'm gonna like that, like that's an organ. If organ meats, if I'm gonna get it, I'm gonna get it fresh from like a quality butcher. I'm not gonna just buy it from some like shrink wrapped Walmart.
Yeah, you don't want liver from Walmart.
Yeah. Yeah. That might have been sitting around for a while.
I've seen some of the videos of this watermelon that people are getting from Walmart, and it already looks like liver.
Yeah,
I think
like-
I'll pass on the Walmart liver.
Yeah. It's not good, man. That Fiat food will mess you up.
That's right.
Yeah. Especially liver watermelon.
Yeah.
Oh man, what was happening there? Like, how do you actually get not a watermelon to even do something like that?
Dude. I think it is like, I think they like genetically produced it to be like rubber is how they how they did that. Or they gave it the COVID vaccine. I don't know.
That was fun, YouTube. That was
And we're gone.
almost
Hey,
6
guys.
minutes in.
Yes.
It's a hell of a thought.
They're gonna be like mass banning everybody that has like the Biden Trump debate anyway tonight. So I'm not.
Oh
too
my
worried.
God, are you allowed to say that?
Yep, there you
Oh,
go.
we're
And we're
gone.
off.
Elon says they're going to be letting it go live. It's a free speech platform there, and Rumble has also said they're going to let it roll, and consequences be down.
I saw somebody on Twitter share that apparently a streamer on Rumble has a connection to running the Rumble stream through Trump Tower servers. So they're also doing it that way. I'm like, good Lord, like they should not have even like verbalized that they were going to try and like prevent anybody else from streaming this until like 15 minutes before if they were actually going to try and do it.
I think it actually is a ploy to get more people to stream it. Honestly,
Yeah.
Ooh, that's a good point.
No.
I didn't think about that.
But by the way, before everyone turns off and goes and watches that, it doesn't start till 9 p.m. Eastern. So watch this, get your laughs in, and then if you're like a sadomasochist, go watch that afterwards. You really hate yourself. God, I just had too much fun listening to those Bitcoin veterans. Let me go ruin my mood now.
I would love to do a survey across America to see, was there actually anybody who was swayed by the other candidate tonight? Like, there's got to be somebody, like in a crowd of 300 plus million people. They're like, oh yeah, you know what, man, I'm starting to rethink Joe Biden a little bit, right? Like maybe a little bit.
I just kind of hope that like Trump lets Biden talk instead of cuts him off, because it'll be so much better and worse at the same time if Biden just is allowed to talk. It'll just be so much funnier and better entertainment.
I wonder what he's gonna take prior to the debate.
Oh, he's
Oh,
already rocking that shit.
Has anybody
copious
seen?
amounts of modafinil.
Have you seen that movie with what the hell was it, man? Was it Logan? Where he injects himself with that green stuff and he freaking like comes alive even though he's almost dead. You know, the one with Wolverine in it. Yeah, I think that's probably what they inject him with, man. I mean, it's probably like freaking high concentrated adrenochrome or something, I'm sure. Shit, can we say that? But
Yes, we got
trying
3
everything.
It's already
bingos.
gone. We're
We need
good.
2
Whatever.
more for a bingo tonight. Thanks for the help, Gabe.
Hey, we had a great time on Juneteenth celebrating. It's LGBT Pride Month. What else do we need to say to try to get
Oh yeah, the gayest month of the year.
the gayest?
Oh,
month
there
of
we
the year?
go. Dinger.
Welcome everybody to one of the gayest shows in the gayest months of the year.
I don't know why we haven't updated our graphics. I mean, come on, man. Like, our graphics guy, I don't know. He's sleeping
Yeah,
at the
can
wheel.
we get more shades of color other than just orange?
Orange and black.
These Bitcoin veterans, man, they think everybody's just orange out there.
Mike is like
Yeah,
just make it
boy.
all black, like all of my shirts.
man. We got Dr. Nikamoto's attention. Somebody used the gay word.
They're
Hi, YouTube.
somebody say gay. Oh, just
Gay?
maybe.
What?
He was probably on the other side of the house, man. It's like a dog hearing freaking bacon come out of the fridge. Never mind. I'm sorry.
Somebody
Jeez.
suggested
Nick.
that when Biden does come out tonight, that it's actually going to be Hunter Biden who's kind of pulling
Oh God.
the medical strings behind. Like they've made this argument that there's nobody who can mix uppers and downers to the degree of precision that Hunter Biden can, right? So you're like, we'll up them just enough, but then we're going to do this, and it's going to balance everything out just perfectly.
Let's go.
Hunter just walks out to the podium mid debate, and a little dime bag drops out of his pocket. He's like, shit.
Oh my God. So I feel like maybe periodically I should just give you some of the highlights of what the New York Times has as their like headline for the debate, like updates. And the current one in Atlanta, the debate is competing for attention with U.S. men's soccer team. Look, nobody is competing to watch either of those. Not happening.
Yeah.
Although I don't know, maybe actually speaking of like gay, those do sound like the two gayest things you can watch. So maybe they are fighting over the same demographic.
That's kind of what I was thinking, man. The same people that would watch one would watch the other. But I am gonna confess, man, I am gonna be watching one of those things tonight. So there you go.
He's talking about soccer.
It's okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah. You know, everybody loves that stuff, man.
It's Gay History Month or Gay Month or whatever. Gay Pride Month. You know, it's all the same. You can do.
That's what Juneteenth is, right? It's when we let the gays be free.
Oh my God.
I think we got a wires crossed somewhere, George.
It's June.
That's what's crossed. It's wires. It's not something else.
Oh man.
Oh
yeah. It's
polls.
That was the great gay emancipation, is what that was. Oh man, we're done.
From the top ropes.
Sorry.
We'll be here all night, fellas.
Look,
I can't
not
wait
that there's
to see
anything
the
wrong
list.
with that.
I can't wait to see the
hasn't
list
even
of companies that are applying to be our sponsors after this episode.
I want to do business with those people. Like this.
Yes, I do. Actually,
those are the kind of guys you need around.
Oh man.
Oh, this has
good
been a fun
time.
show.
We haven't even started yet.
Getting warmed up. No guests tonight, man. It's going to be a free for all. Good times.
Oh shit, we're live?
Can we start this over, man? I don't know if it's going well.
Did you
I
hit
think it's
live
going
before
great. We should
or
keep
after? Did you hit live before or after my Hakatua comment?
It was right after. I
Okay.
wish it would have started a little earlier.
I really feel bad for that girl, though. I mean,
Yeah.
Fired.
I kind of feel bad because she
Why?
lost her job over it, but
She's going to be rich.
I also don't feel bad because if we're at least 5 years into this trend of people just like doing these like walk on public spaces, like social media recording interview shit. Like if you haven't learned by now of all the people that have gotten burned, I'm sorry, but I can't help you.
Yeah.
So she lost her job. I would have
Hakatua
thought
lost her job? No, she didn't.
OnlyFans would be in
Did she?
favor of that.
Look,
she's I think she's like a first or second grade school teacher or something like that.
she's like 23. She's a teacher. Yeah. And I mean, I had the same feelings in the beginning. It was like, man, this, probably some drunk kid in the street, said something stupid.
In Nashville.
Yeah, went viral. But I mean, I saw something else. I think it was yesterday where somebody's offering her like this multi-million-dollar merch deal and all this.
Oh,
She's got these,
I don't
these
feel bad for
hats
her
and
at all.
all this stuff already. So she's like, "Yeah, let's go." And it's like you said, it's like it's like every so often it just comes up. Actually, on that note, hey, you remember the lady from the plane that thought that the guy in the back, wasn't real?
Yeah.
So she's back, and she's making an appearance on social media, and she's kind of like poking fun at the entire thing, and like putting up memes of herself now. So I think that somebody must have been, because I think she's a marketing exec or something like that.
Yeah.
So she sat down with her people and figured out a plan, and now she's capitalizing on it too. So I mean, that's the thing in this country. You do something freaking outrageous and crazy, people are going to start paying you money for it. It's just nuts, dude. But more power to them.
At least a week.
Her clothing lines is pretty good so far. You've seen the one that says Hawk Tua 24.
That's pretty good.
That's going to be all over Nashville.
If we have any if we've got any older folks that are watching, don't Google it, man. You don't want to know.
I don't think anybody out there with a phone has not seen this.
Yeah, I know.
I mean, like, let's be honest. Like, if there are older folks that are watching, they're already gonna know what she says anyway. Like, honestly, like how many like adults that have had sexual relationships aren't gonna know what she's talking about? Be like, yeah, like there's nothing surprising about what she said.
Yeah, it's not that bad.
Yeah,
I mean, it just happened to go viral because like she probably wasn't anticipating being famous for that.
And it's the way she said it.
Yeah, I mean, she was very what's the word? Enthusiastic.
Fun.
She knew what she was doing.
I don't want to be her dad, but damn, she seems like a good time out there on the streets, right? Like she can joke, she can laugh, she can make other people laugh. Like I think that's why it actually really went, as viral as it did. Like she was literally having a very good time joking around. Kind of.
God forbid people just like
kind of
are themselves in public. It's a terrible thing.
Oh yeah. Unacceptable.
I never would even thought for a second that would be something you'd lose your job over. Granted, I didn't know what her job was until now, but still, it's like, do you really think like your teachers? What are they supposed to be? Fucking nuns?
Yeah,
no. Are we pretending that like these teachers that are getting pregnant are just somehow like immaculate conception? Like they're not doing these things? Like, come on, give me a flipping break.
And let's not beat around the bush here. It is the gayest month of the year, right? And so with all the gay flags and everything else out there, they are literally hanging in the classrooms promoting like sodomy and everything else. And you're like, well, hey, this very straight woman over here that's like
that was
this kind of thing, but she's the problem, guys.
Yeah, we can put it in books and instruct kids on how to do it with cartoon drawings to the same sex, but you get a straight like school teacher woman that talks about doing it to another guy. Nope, we can't do it.
That's the problem. She wasn't talking about doing it to a pastrami sandwich. That's the problem.
It was too heteronormative.
Exactly.
Heteronormative. Oh man, what a world.
What a world.
Well, hold on to your butts. Bitcoin veterans coming at you.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Someone say gay?
So is Jordan. Welcome to Bitcoin veterans, ladies and gentlemen. Just people. There's no gentlemen or ladies still watching this show. It's just good old-fashioned Americans that like to joke around, have a good time, talk about some current events. That's us. There might be a little dark humor in this show. Probably a lot of dark humor, actually. We're gonna cover the gambit, kind of catch up on some current events. We're gonna talk about our time at Bitcoin Park, maybe some Assange, some debate stuff going on. We'll see what we have time for. But Bitcoin veterans, we welcome you guys here. Anybody and everybody. You don't have to be a veteran. This is open for everybody. This is an entire movement that is absolutely as decentralized as it comes. We are into things like Citadels and Operation Bitcoin, which is a Skillshare program. We got Brave, which is a PTSD program. We've got guys working on Citadels and comms. We've got groups out there doing cybersecurity. We've got gamers. God, if there's something for Bitcoiners who are veterans to do together, you found a home here. If you want to be part of it, you can get in touch with us through Twitter, and we will add you to maybe your region. And get you involved and any other specifics that you want to do. If we don't have it, maybe you start it and take it and run with it and make it your own. That's what Bitcoin Veterans is all about, is spreading this ideology of Bitcoin, of sovereignty, your individual rights, just free revolutionary money. It is, boy, what a time to be alive, and to be joined today by Jordan, Gabe, Alex, and Mike for once without a guest. Man, this is killer. We haven't done this in a while, guys.
Oh yeah,
Love it.
I actually believe like this. I don't want this to reflect poorly on any of our guests, but I've been looking forward to like having a kind of like a home team to steal from PBD podcast, a little home team like get together. It's always nice.
I like it. Well,
Yeah, sometimes you just want to hang with the boys.
The boys with the Z.
Hanging with the boys in June. It's all good, man.
For Gay Pride Month, right? I mean,
Yeah, not that there's
Also,
anything wrong with
good
that.
point. Good point.
we got some bills to pay, and so we're gonna throw this over. I think Alex has got the read on this. Are you ready for this, my man?
I'm ready. Right. So beef, it's good. You should buy it.
He was not ready.
KC Cattle is a company that understands the power of decentralization, going straight directly from the producer to the consumer. They get Bitcoin. They're on Nostr. They're on Twitter. DM them there. Tell them you heard about KCC on this pod. Say hi. Get to know them. Portion of their sales goes towards helping vets and this pod specifically there at kccattlecompany.com. Check them out. Also, by the way, quick story. I was telling these guys earlier. I just got a couple of boxes of KC Cattle. They call it their ancestral blend. So it's the ground beef with the liver and the other organs with lots of nutritional stuff. So looking forward to trying that out. Do we have any stuff we can put up on Black Sheep Ammo? I'll just do a quick shout out and thank you to those guys. So we're going to be doing a range day in Nashville on the 25th. This will be our first basically inaugural Bitcoin Veterans Range Day. Shane and I have done range days, etc., in the past for these big Bitcoin conferences, but this will be the first Bitcoin Veterans one. And Black Sheep Ammunition was kind enough to provide us a big stack of ammo for this thing. These guys are graciously hooking us up for the Nashville Range Day. You're going to be able to get their swag, by the way, at the BV Citadel at the Bitcoin conference in Nashville. So swing by the BV Citadel if you want to check out their swag. We're giving it away for free while supplies last. Veteran-owned company manufacturing American-made goods for dedicated sportsmen and those ready to defend.
I like their logo.
Yeah,
I
Black
like the
Sheep.
whole like branding.
Yeah, that they've got a dog on there. It looks like they're taking care of their sheep. I mean, that's solid, really nice. And the fact that they're giving us a whole bunch of ammo for a range day. I mean, what's more American than that? I mean, coming in to help veterans. And I don't know if we can shout out the guy that did this, but really, really appreciate going out there and making this happen. This is really kick ass. Should we we were talking a little bit earlier about Pocket Steak and how good KC Cattle Company was to have all this goodness going on together at the same time out there at the range. If you don't have your tickets for I should say, if you haven't signed up to come out to the range, there's still some spots. We got 5 spots left, Alex?
Yeah, I think there's 2 beginner slots left, and there's a couple intermediates, and maybe a couple of advanced, mostly full at this point, though. So if you want to come to that range day, get contact with us. We're at Bitcoin Veterans on Twitter. You can contact us through that handle. We'll hook you up.
Yeah. And maybe just a natural jumping off point to get into what happened when we were in Nashville this past week. Fantastic event, really. I mean, for a first event as Bitcoin Veterans, I know we've got a lot of experience in this team and everything in terms of shooters and trainers. That the fact that it all came together. Dan, we'll just call him Dan for now. Dan runs Dust Off Ranch, and he's a former Chinook pilot. He's also a Blackhawk pilot. He flies Lakota for the local hospital airlift trauma unit out there. Amazing guy. Dust Off Ranch is something he's starting for all the PTSD veterans, and then offering ranges to groups like this. And so we went out there. We got out there very early. Jordan and I showed up the day before to get the range somewhat prepped for the next day. And everybody showed up a little after the time, but civilians, that's kind of their thing. We got a huge day of training in, followed by some good fellowship with Dan and his family, who fed us brisket. And man, just an amazing place, great area. Everything went off without a hitch. I thought it was probably one of the better events I'd ever been to in terms of a Bitcoin event. And overall, absolutely just really pleased with the entire thing.
Yeah. So for context, some people might wonder why we were going out there in the first place. Bitcoin Park, that some of you guys may know in Nashville, is an amazing setup and community, and it's basically become sort of a magnet for Bitcoiners. Many people go there just to check out the vibe and see what it's all about. But they invited us to come out to do a panel for their monthly thing, and by us I mean Bitcoin veterans, and we figured why not do a range day at the same time. So we did that. A bunch of guys from Bitcoin Park came out, and we ran them through the paces, man. We got those guys going from basically, some of these guys had very, very little experience, very little hands-on, all the way up to, by the end of the day, a bunch of these guys brand new for the very first time, drawing from holsters, running through a range of different drills of increasing complexity, handling malfunctions, all the things. And the level of basic skill improvement, I think, from start to finish was pretty good. And I think that they were very happy. There were basically, there was lots of great comments about how excited they were to have done it. Shout outs to Rod and Ross and all the guys over there at Bitcoin Park. That was a great time. We appreciate you guys coming out for that.
Jordan, you want to add anything?
We turned Rod from 0 to hero. He is ready to try out for SEAL Team 6 now. That dude, I can't promise these results for everybody. Really, just Rod was an exceptional student. But it's possible if you really if you can tie your boots and shoot in the right direction, we might be able to get you there if we can do it for Rod.
Yes.
I love you, Rod.
This right now, it'd be absolutely hysterical. Rod's a good sport too, and really all the guys from Bitcoin Park that came out. I just want to say this, if you've got any hesitation about coming out and doing a shoot with people because you've never ever laid hands on a weapon before in your life, it can be a scary thing to start. It can be something that is a little bit overwhelming, something that you don't want to take lightly. Obviously, these are the guys that have literally hundreds of thousands of rounds downrange that they've done it safely. They're certified instructors. They carry insurance, you name it. They're not there to demean you. They're not there to treat you like some recruit. It's not like that with you see in other organizations where they're literally trying to give everybody like shock drop from day one with like recruits and all that. This is a very high level, very professional. You can bring, C-suite, executives out to an event like this. I guarantee you they're going to have a good time. They're going to be looked after. Safety is paramount for everything that we've been doing. And at the end of the day, you've made some really good friends. And that's one thing I've noticed. I've done, a few of these now with Alex, and you have a group of strangers a lot of times. And this group, we were lucky enough, a lot of them knew each other, but a lot of them still didn't. And by the end of the day, they had fostered this kinship between each other where, they're joking on the range, they're going through the paces, they're learning some new techniques to deploy those skills. And, before the end of the day, people are exchanging numbers, they're getting each other's contact on Nostr, on Twitter, whatever they can do to facilitate those things, and then meet up later and maybe even go to each other's property and do this with each other. So this is the power of the Bitcoin community. I mean, exemplified. It's like, let's not just talk about it. Let's put something into action, make it happen. Let's improve each other and do it professionally enough to where this is something that catches fire, because now more and more people are talking about it. And I think we should probably get into a little bit of what it affords. At the end of the day, like as we showed up, we had some, quote unquote VIPs at Bitcoin Park kind of waiting on us.
Yeah, well, that was pretty interesting. When we got to Bitcoin Park for this panel, we were lucky enough to meet Senator Marsha Blackburn, and that was a really cool experience because it was obvious that she'd spent at least a couple of minutes thinking about talking to us. She was ready for us. When we first met her, she basically, I don't know if you guys seen this. I'm gonna grab it. She basically put one of these in her palm the proper way, like this, and shook our hand and gave us each one of those. So all four of us got one of those.
For those of you, the guys that are in audio land, Alex is holding up a challenge coin, and on that challenge coin, it says United States Senate, and it has the seal of Tennessee on the backside of it.
I am so flipping jealous.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean,
that's awesome.
Not bad.
And then it gets better because then we went inside the meeting hall for Bitcoin Park, and they have this one corner where there's all these signs where it's like CBDCs enslave and like no CBDCs and like all of this stuff, right? And she got a picture with us standing in front of those signs, which was fantastic. And it kind of puts, it's one of those things where a lot of Bitcoiners are like, well, they're politicians. You can't trust them. They're going to say one thing, they're going to do something else. Okay, look, maybe all that's true, but this conversation that's occurring right now in politics in America is not a bad thing. It's good that they're talking about it, whether they actually do anything or not. It's forcing people to pick sides. There it is. There's the picture. No CBDC, central bank digital currencies enslaved. There's Senator Blackburn right in the middle of us there.
And let me tell you guys something about, coming from the world of politics, the fact that you have a sitting senator coming to Bitcoin Park, like, I don't think people really understand the gravity of that situation. You've got presidential candidates that are talking about this kind of stuff. You've got senators on both sides, at least addressing it and talking about it. The fact that she's willing to get into a picture with everybody around her who's whispering in her ear, the poll numbers, what public perception is, all these things, like, this is a very, very calculated move. Like, these guys don't take a piss without having somebody whisper in their ear, like, hey man, what are you doing? Especially her, with this kind of toilet paper, right? Like, it's everything that they do is so measured and so particular that this, to be pictured with a bunch of knuckle draggers like us at Bitcoin Park with CBDs, no CBDCs in the background, pushing for Bitcoin, this is a huge, huge thing.
Yeah.
Well, and not to mention just like the whole, like, kind of like what Alex was saying, the whole kind of like stereotype of like, well, they're politicians, they'll do whatever they need to get elected. That's also like and this is coming from the resident doomer. That's a very nihilistic take, and like, you're just resigning it off to the absolute that there are no good individuals in those positions of power to begin with, and that's just not true. Like, nothing in reality is an absolutes. That means that there are politicians that are actually going to be good people. And like we've talked about, like, Bitcoin tends to attract some of the best people. So like, when you have a situation like that, like, you have to use it as a it can have some noise aspect to it, but there's going to be a lot more signal than there is noise, in my opinion.
Mm-hmm. Well, and you can kind of you can be Machiavellian too and say, like, it doesn't, whether they believe it or not, we can use it to our advantage. We can, like, do our jujitsu on it and use what they're doing against them, or to amplify what they're doing. And then when you're talking to like some normie friend and they don't think Bitcoin's being taken seriously, it's like, look at this picture that I got with the senator because she's supporting it. Like, that could help win arguments in certain fronts. It's just another attack vector for Bitcoin.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I agree. Yeah, and y'all know I don't have much love for very many politicians, but the reality is, it's not about being personal chums and buddies, with any of them, but they serve a function, just like each of us. Really, I mean, in this life, in this world, we each serve a function. And they understand that, and they realize it. And I think that, as many opportunities as we have to bring the conversation to the forefront, to bring the conversation to people that are influencing policy and that are willing to kind of put themselves out there, like she has demonstrated that she is, I see it as a positive thing. So nice job, guys.
Yeah. And just to add on to it a little bit, we thought it was going to be a dinner afterwards, so it turned into like drinks and appetizers. But at that event, you had the representative for Senator Blackburn, you had the representative for Senator Haggerty, the other Tennessee senator, a representative for the governor, and a representative for the AG in Tennessee. And none of those people weren't necessarily there because of Bitcoin. I think they were probably mostly there because we combine veterans, which they want to show as supporting, and Bitcoin, which they're currently wanting to support. So this isn't just like the five of us talking about it. It's everyone can use this as a weapon in their arsenal to like further that conversation wherever they are. Like take that as an opportunity and wield it, because there's a good combination there of two things that are really people are seeing as represent freedom. Like use that as a tool in your arsenal.
Yeah, I think I'd like to say a little bit more about who else came out and what what Bitcoin Park has been able to do, and then what Bitcoin Veterans was able to have in terms of these conversations. We not only had a sitting senator there, we had a representative from the other senator's office there as well. We had a representative from the AG's office. We had a representative from the governor's office, and we had the TVA, a high up exec looking for veterans for the TVA. Like, if man, yeah, I mean, and it wasn't all that many people. So for that, and I say that because obviously it's not a huge place, but for those guys to all come out and then go out to an hors d'oeuvres and drinks thing after to come and have conversations with us and really start to understand like what we're doing, what we're looking at, what we're now providing, and then ask for that. I mean, Gabe, you got to be real proud of Operation Libertas, because the fact that you got the TVA, probably maybe the premier energy organization in the Southeast, at least, if not in greater America or possibly the world. Like, these guys produce tons and tons and tons of electricity, and they're looking at combining that with veterans for it, that are in line with Bitcoin. That's incredible.
Yeah, it is pretty awesome. I am proud of Jordan for many things, but also, never mind. I'm sorry, but
Operation Bitcoin is an amazing thing that you've done there, Gabe.
Thank you. Now, that is really cool. And I don't know if you guys saw this news, but CleanSpark, looks like we just found another sponsor. CleanSpark is actually going to be conducting a major operation up there in Tennessee as well. And I have to wonder what the correlation is between them. And also, thanks for initiating that relationship with TVA, because it's a very, very positive thing. And it's a tremendous opportunity for Operation Bitcoin to get involved in what they have going on up there. That's all I can really say on the air right now. But it's a really cool thing. I don't know what's up in Tennessee, man. I mean, there must be something in the water. Maybe you guys went up there and brought some mojo with you, but it's good, man. I'm excited to just to get a sense of how things feel in the air up there in July. I mean, obviously, there's going to be thousands of Bitcoiners importing themselves during that time, but still, it's a pretty exciting time. I mean, 2024 is shaping up to be a hell of a year, and I just think it's going to keep on getting better. So, Hey, Bart, good, man. I'm glad you got that, dude. It's right, man. We need to see some proof of work. So, another Operation Bitcoin. Look, man, we had a fundraiser. If you're getting your shirts, we have a contest. Hop on our Twitter and check it out. I need to see some pictures of that proof of work, man. Show me your sweat-activated T-shirts. Do your thing. Let's get to work.
So you're doing a wet T-shirt contest?
I am.
Yeah, literally.
Think of that.
I can't wait for June to be over.
Bunch of men in sweaty T-shirts.
It's delightful. Thank you. But anyway, yeah, you guys are killing it, man. That Bitcoin Park trip, I can't wait to get up there too, and check it out. Meet some of the guys and just kind of see what it's all about, because I know that there's a lot of special things happening there. So yeah, you guys crushed it.
If you can't get out there, I don't know why you wouldn't be able to for the conference stuff, but if you can't, Gabe, like going out there in like October, November is like perfect weather.
Yeah.
That was when I first went to Bitcoin Park, and it was I can't say perfect more than I already have. Like the weather, it was nice and cool, but it was warmer than it was in Iowa, because Iowa is always sucky no matter what time of year it is. So it was great.
Now that Mike mentions it, those are the only 2 good months out of the year as far as weather goes. You're right.
That's the secret. All right. You know what, guys? I think I'm just not even going to come up for this conference thing in July. I'll see y'all in October.
Just take a page out of my book, Gabe, and just wear a lot of black. That way, when you do sweat, it doesn't just advertise, and you can be like, okay, like as long as you're wearing deodorant, man, you should be good.
So I shouldn't wear my sweat activated Operation Bitcoin t-shirt then, right?
Unless you want people to see you sweating, go for it.
You can't hide your sweat.
You heard it here first. The Operation Bitcoin conference is going to be in October, November.
That's right.
In Nashville.
Not the Operation Libertas.
That's right.
We might double up.
That's right.
I don't know who stole it. I don't know if Operation Bitcoin came first or Operation Libertas, but I don't know. You guys, we gotta keep it pretty civil. Oh, it's him.
I'm just saying,
definitely Libertas.
When you announced what your name was going to be, I was like, it was a little on the nose there, Gabe.
Sorry.
But thank you for confirming that it's a cool name.
It's an homage, man. It's an homage. That's what it is.
I appreciate it.
Yeah.
We don't pronounce the H on homage like a proper American, Gabe.
Yeah, I didn't want to be too foreign or anything.
Too cultured.
Did you guys see that Julian Assange is free?
I saw that.
Yes.
Man, that is wild, isn't it?
I like to say free up in quotes though, because I don't know. I'm concerned potentially for his risk being out in the open air now, and what kind of stipulations came along with his getting quote unquote freed Australia.
I'm less concerned about it. I don't know. It's not like if somebody really wanted to hit that guy, I mean, he'd have been gone by now, I think.
Well, I agree. But I think hitting's past. I think now is probably just keeping him pushed off into a corner so he can't talk.
That seems like the play, right? Is like we all know it came with some strings. Immediately they had to delete, everything from WikiLeaks. It was the DNC emails, and
not the RNC.
No,
none of them. Just the DNC. Not because let's get another bingo. Not because Hillary Clinton's emails or anything are in there.
Yeah,
here's the thing. Like, what is that actually going to do? I mean, that was already info dumped. I mean, there's already copies of it probably all over the place. Right?
Well, the stipulation was not only did he have to delete all the DNC emails from there, but he had to ensure that nothing else was coming out on WikiLeaks, which means that they know that there's more that he has, which I imagine is the reason why he's alive, right? Like if they didn't kill him, there was probably a dead man switch. And when that dead man switch would go off, obviously all hell would break loose for the DNC, because let's face it, they haven't done anything illegal yet. And if they do, then, justice is coming for them. Never.
Do you know what would be freaking awesome is if the dead man switch still is in place.
Oh yeah.
Something happens to him, like all this info gets dumped. That would be awesome.
Well, I agree, and I think what they're probably banking on is that they're going to get the timeline that what was it, Pfizer or Moderna was looking for on releasing their papers, because we know that by the time Julian Assange becomes an elderly senior, he's gonna be like, screw it, boop, and you just shoot it out there if somebody else hasn't done it already. So they're banking on 50 years of at least he likely won't be doing the whole real data dump, right?
Yeah, and really, I mean, if you look at the geriatric DNC, I mean, they need 50 years? No, maybe another 5 to 10 at max.
Maybe, yeah. You know, I saw an interesting comment from Odell the other day, and I mean, what would it look like if WikiLeaks, all the data was on Nostr?
Oh,
yeah.
There's a project for somebody.
Because when it's there, it's there.
Max Borders, one of our previous guests, he had an article recently about this of like, we basically need something like Nostr to be like for whistleblowers so they can just dump information and it's already out there. Yeah. What are you going to do now?
It's not going back in the bottle.
This whole thing kind of reminds me of like the printing press. And whenever they tried to like crack down on it, people just started making copies of how to make a printing press. And it just made it spread more. And it just seems like what they think they can do is just like smash WikiLeaks and it disappears, instead of they smash it, its guts go everywhere, and all those guts start replicating and just doing the same thing. And if those documents are already out there somewhere, they're going to continue to seep out. We might have to find them, might be a little bit harder, but eventually they'll pop back up.
Well, it's one of the, you know, it reminds me of that conversation we had with Natalie Smolenski, where she was essentially saying that there's no technology that government's ever actually been able to repress. Eventually it gets spread and taken up, which also gets me starting to wonder about all those 6,000 patents that apparently the government's been sitting on.
Coming.
Yeah.
Before we get off
into...
Yeah, ahead, I was going to say, before we get off the Assange thing, though, it is worth noting that anybody and everybody who is, you know, of the lizard people, you know, this cabal, you know, they've come out. I mean, Mike Pence got absolutely dragged the other day for making, you know, such kind of comments where, you know, he's not a patriot. He did these things. He's a traitor to the nation. You know, he got a lot of people hurt. Same thing here. The State Department spokesman Matt Miller today alleged that in 2010 publications of WikiLeaks and Assange harmed numerous people. When pressed and badgered, apparently he could not come up with a single example of who they actually hurt.
Mm-hmm.
It's a great video. I highly suggest everybody go out there and watch it. But that's the thing, is like, you know, when you look back at kind of some of the stuff that was released, you know, the DNC emails, like, I don't think anybody was shocked by the DNC being this wicked organization, but it was, I think, more or less the videos. I mean, there's the Apache video, you know, of those, you know, guys absolutely getting blown to smithereens. And I think that was the one that really started getting attention for WikiLeaks. It's like, for anybody that was there and saw this stuff with their own eyes, especially on the front end, that was intelligence gathering, and then how they twisted everything. You know, all this did was expose the warmongers and how absolutely atrocious their lies were.
Yeah. The thing that, you know, where Julian Assange ties into Bitcoin, for those people who don't know, when WikiLeaks started releasing information and then they started getting deplatformed off of everything, the attempt was being made to starve WikiLeaks of resources. They debanked them. They had no access to credit card payments. They couldn't take donations. And they were in the process of being starved to death. And then they just basically embraced Bitcoin and said, okay, well, let's do it the Bitcoin way. And my understanding is that's what kept WikiLeaks alive.
I think they got 4,000 Bitcoin donated to them. So yeah. That was pretty big.
Yeah. I mean, that's nothing to sneeze at.
Well, and let's not forget either, you know, he was forced to take a private jet and not fly commercial. And, you know, the cost of that jet was about $500,000. And somebody donated over, what was it, 4.5, 5 Bitcoin at the time, and paid for that entire thing anonymously. So yeah, he's obviously done some really good stuff for not only the Bitcoin community, but now the Bitcoin community is coming back to say, hey man, thanks for everything that you're doing, and covered that flight. That's huge.
Yeah, it really is, man. And I mean, of course, I there's a big part of me that wants to really celebrate that this is happening and that it's a victory for freedom. And I think that I'm going to permit that internal celebration to occur, and just, you know, kind of throw my fist up in the air and say, yeah, you know, that's pretty awesome. This guy is free. Okay, I mean that's a fact. He's free. He's with his family. That's great, man. That is awesome. And then then the next question is, okay, now what are the real incentives behind that? Why was that decision made? Because obviously they're not just doing it because they say, we give up, you win, do a little plea deal, and it's fine, man. Forget about it. Obviously, we know that he's heavily surveilled. They probably have men who stare at goats reading his mind right now. And I mean, they know what he's doing. They know what he's eating. They know what conversations he's having. They know everything that's going on. Obviously, he's smart and he knows how to conduct himself. But still, I have to ask why. Why would they do it? I mean, of course, it's an election year. That's going to be a huge motivator behind anything that any politicians that are trying to get elected are going to do right now. And I have no answer. All I have is questions. So I'm happy to entertain any thoughts on, what the incentives would be behind doing this and releasing him.
I just want to take a pause real quick and say, like, what a profound statement that was, Gabe, of I don't have any answers. I just have a lot of questions. And like, I feel like people need to have that mindset more often. Like, you don't always know everything, but damn, you better be asking some questions.
Right. I think there's not enough of that going around nowadays for a lot of different reasons. The money being one of the biggest ones, probably, because it's funding a lot of other things that are causing a lot of other questions.
No doubt.
Now, our buddy Nico tweeted this out. Julian Assange, check. Ross Ulbricht, Edward Snowden.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, I thought that was a great tweet. And yeah, but that is a win. I mean, and that's the thing is, you see these wins lately. Like, I don't know that we need to revel in them, but to enjoy a little bit of a win. Hey, this man is back home with his family, with his wife, and he stuck it out. I mean, he literally stood by his morals and principles for, I don't know what, the better part of 14 years, 15 years now, close to. That's a long time to be away from your family. It's to have threats on your life, to stand on that moral principle and say, hey man, you can take my life while being completely peaceful. I mean, you want to talk about a real statement. And there are some people that I've seen, he's made some deals and now he's capitulating, and bullshit, man. Like, after that is what do they say? A Herculean effort in principle. I don't know that you could ask any more from a guy that's, put his neck on the line and, has survived putting his neck out on the line for not only, people here in America, but for people all around the world to kind of expose a lot of what's going on. It's really pretty awesome. And, we've got President Trump and, even I guess RFK talking about Ross Ulbricht and Edward Snowden now, to have these guys coming to communities like this, because let's face it, they're coming to Nashville, they're coming to the Bitcoin conferences, they just left the LP, they're coming into territory where they're not comfortable, where they're going to get absolutely barraged with people who are not going to stray from these principles. And the fact that they're still coming, the fact that they're doing this, they're talking about it, and I don't know, maybe they will, maybe they won't. I know campaign season is full of a bunch of damn lies, but it's furthering the Overton window to show more and more people exactly what has happened that is not in line with the American ideas.
Do you guys think that Vivek is legit, or do you think he's like
that's a good question.
Yes.
I
mean, as I would say when talking about any politician, I would always leave some room that like they're bullshitting, and I wouldn't trust everything, but I feel like that dude comes off as very legit. Like, everything that he was doing in the debates, he never seemed to like contradict himself. Whereas a lot of them, now that they're out and it's like clear that Trump's the winner, they might be trying to like backpedal and play. He never bashed Trump. It almost seemed, my feeling is that the dude was running just to be VP or to have some kind of seat and have Trump's ear to be in the administration. I think he's the only one up there that understood like this. No one here is like really trying to be president, and he never stabbed Trump in the back, which, you know, feel how you feel about that. Like if that was his plan and his agenda, he was pretty honest with that, which is probably also to say like pretty honest with a lot of the people that are looking at Trump as like clearly the better option this time around. I just feel like he played it. He has played it straight and has never like backpedaled. He's also one of the only people that seem to just be able to sit in front of reporters and be asked any question and have a really good, deep answer. And you feel like he could have talked for another 30 minutes on that topic.
He actually sounded informed. Like,
yeah, it was weird.
That's yeah. But I'll add some more fire to that, Jordan. That one of the things that I think sounds very interesting would be 2 billionaire entrepreneur types as an American president, because like there aren't a whole lot of things that are super American beyond being a successful American entrepreneur, besides, you know, being a veteran. Like
that's right,
because you can't be like you can't be super successful in the world and be an entrepreneur without doing a lot of things right. And because like to do it outside of the US, like there requires some serious lubricating of the process, right? Like you have to be working with the government in some form or fashion, or the mafia, or both.
Some serious Haktua.
Yeah, I like how you fit in lubrication right there. Nice.
Yeah.
Did you guys notice this? Maybe this is just me reading into things, but it seems to me that Trump almost reversed his position on Bitcoin after talking to Vivek.
Yes.
Yeah.
I agree. I think that's precisely what happened.
Yeah. You know, Vivek was in Miami last year. You probably remember that.
No.
And yeah, the interesting thing about him is that it's like y'all said. I mean, he does definitely seem informed. The guy is probably about as smart as you can find somebody, but I mean, he knows what he's talking about, and his messaging is consistent, and that matters because you know, no matter who he's talking to or what the topic is or what angle they're approaching him from, he's consistent in his messaging, and that matters because when you're, and again, politician, he's going to do what politicians do, and he wants to get elected. But at the same time, it's difficult for politicians to be consistent when they're not genuinely speaking their true positions on things. And that's the thing is, you know, when your position is set and you believe in what you're doing, then your messaging is going to be consistent because the conditions don't change you. The audience doesn't change you. The agendas of the people that you're addressing doesn't change your message either. It just is what it is. And so I believe that's why he can talk at such great length about the things that he's talking about, is because it's a part of who he is, and he is being authentic about that. And I agree with you also that, you know, I don't think I think that he knew that he was not going to be a true contender for the big seat. And he's been positioning himself the entire time, either as a VP pick or to be on the cabinet, or, you know, to have some type of a role. But it wouldn't shock me one bit if he does get the VP pick and then is positioned to be the successor after, you know, the orange guy, if he does indeed get elected.
Yeah.
What do you guys think of the rumors that are circulating of like Trump having made his selection because he's going to be in attendance of the debate? Trump said that his selector and who he selects is going to be in attendance of the debate too.
I think you'd be silly not to have Vivek, and that's and I really mean that. I mean, the guy is not only articulate, but you can tell there are so many that go out there with scripts, and you can see it, and it's just, you know, on its face, it's flat and flaccid and terrible, and you're just like, nah, no. This guy, there is something about Vivek where, yeah, I know we're gonna keep sneaking them in there today.
All the dick puns, let's go.
All of them. We're gonna see, when you see Vivek go out there and actually get into people that have bent the narrative, that are starting from a bad place, and you see that fight. And I think that's one of the things that I love about politicians. that will mix it up. Obviously not a Trump guy, but at the same time, I like the fight. I like the American spirit that no, you're not going to control the narrative. No, I don't agree with your fucking premise. And here's what I'm going to do in return. I'm going to embarrass the ever living shit out of you in front of this entire room for you trying to embarrass me or like, take my name and drag it through the mud and do all the things that the shitty media organizations and propagandists do out there. That fight is something that is really, really something hot-blooded that strikes the nerve, I think, of really the red-blooded Americans that are out there. The other thing that I think about Vivek, whether he's real or not real, I think that's very hard to fake, or he's a very good actor. But what it does is it also puts, let's just say, Trump's not part of this whole thing. Trump's actually a real politician, and he really cares about America and blah, blah, blah. This makes taking Trump out of the equation almost a non-starter, because if you think Trump is bad, his insurance policy is Vivek. If you get rid of Trump, now you're going to be stuck with Vivek. That is a hell of a thing to contend with. So it's like, all right, we've got this guy out here. Yeah, Orange Man bad, and everybody's got Trump derangement syndrome. Not as bad as they used to. But if you get rid of him, now you've only riled up the base, and now you've given him Vivek Ramaswamy, who is, I'm going to tell you right now, I think 10 times smarter than Trump ever was. He is at least that much more articulate, and he's young. Like, he's got the energy to go out there and continue to to campaign and pull off and like talk about narratives and put this propaganda deep state narrative in its own place, which really weakens those guys. So I don't know. I think that's probably one of the best things that we could hope for here in America right now. I'm not saying they've got my vote. I'm saying they're going in the right direction, and they're striking some real chords. And I think it's a hell of a battle plan.
It would be a polar opposite scenario of what the current administration has if they lose the current commander in chief. Like, if we were to fall into leadership under Kamala, like, I'm sorry, but we're fucked. Like, but if you have
imagine? If you're Xi Jinping or whatever, it'd be like, who's their commander in chief?
God,
I won now.
Yeah, that
it's time.
That meme. I like memes, like are all over my brain. But the meme of the guy behind the tree doing this right here. I see it, man. And
just
they're like
sliding out.
Yeah, they're just waiting for the big guy to go ahead and fall down or fall up the flight of stairs and break something serious, so she can step in and like, oh yeah, man, it is on. Because you talk about an ineffective piece of freaking garbage. Good Lord, man. Everything they've thrown that person at.
How do you actually feel?
Everything they have thrown that person at has gotten exponentially worse. Okay. She literally went down to the border with a fucking train and drove it through whatever was left of the wall and laid down a fucking red carpet for it. Never mind. And she was supposed to go down there and fix things. It's like, hey, yeah, go down here and fix. It's like mafia talk. It's like, hey, we need something fixed. Yeah. Send Kamala. She'll fix it good. Good Lord, man. Anyway, it doesn't.
Just don't ask her to make comments about community or time,
or just talk,
or anything at all, man. Please don't.
But what a better person to make Biden look maybe better. Like, here's a younger version of Biden and dumber somehow.
Oh my God,
he's not so bad, is he?
That's his insurance policy.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point. Actually, that's a pretty good point. I never thought about it that way.
There's a lot of talk about Biden not being the nominee at this point too, and you've actually seen the propagandists out there going, guys, like, really, this can't be our guy, right? Tonight in his let's just say drugged up stupor, I will not be surprised. I'm actually expecting at some point to hear of his death, whether he croaks on stage tonight from the uppers and the downers, trying to possess them and whatever they're going to do, or somewhere on the campaign trail. Like, I really think this guy is going down.
Yeah.
Did you see? Yeah, you go, man.
I was going to say, and who's going to rear their ugly head?
Newsom.
Well, yes, but I was thinking primarily Hillary.
Yeah, I don't think Newsom's the answer. Like Newsom is like
I think they tested that and they were like, that's not going to work.
I've been saying for a long time, I think it's going to be Big Mike.
Mike.
Michelle.
Who?
Yeah.
That was good.
You're on. Yeah, Michelle with the bulge in the front of her skirt. Exactly. Yeah. That's the
Big
one.
Mike.
Yeah.
I don't.
Hi, YouTube. It was fun knowing you.
We've been gone on there. We're not still on there, are we?
Look, I still think that there is a possibility that Mike could be the one.
Yeah.
And it can happen. I mean, constitutionally, not that shit matters. I'm sorry, my language is terrible tonight. I hope my mom isn't watching, but but constitutionally, there are ways that it could happen. We don't need to get into all those details, but it could be. I don't know, and I still stand by the theory that I think there's a pretty big possibility that in the traditional sense we will not have an election. I believe that there is, we have enough evidence to come to a conclusion that they'll stop at nothing. Okay. If we're going to have a freaking global virus unleashed on us and then a vaccine doctored up and all this other nonsense and things are just going to get shut down and then have a freaking phony baloney election in the midst of that without having any debates. And one of the candidates lives in a freaking basement. Come on, man. People are going to go for whatever is put in front of them. So kind of like the debate tonight. I think a lot of people are just, the debate moderators they work with CNN. Okay. It's not a real news channel. It's just, a couple of freaking actors that are going to get up there and they essentially work for freaking Elizabeth Warren. So, I see a lot of people talking on the Twitter space right now, not Twitter space, but in the Twitter world about how, some people are going to be talking about Bitcoin and Bitcoin and Bitcoin. I don't think the moderators are going to bring it up. But it sure would be cool if the orange dude said something about it at some point, because the crypt keeper isn't going to bring it up, I'm sure, because he doesn't know what the hell it is. But I think that the orange dude, they might have prepared him for that. And I know he's got some talking points and he knows that there's been a positive reaction to his speaking about it. And it'll be interesting to see if he brings it up.
You know what is resonating out there with the normies apparently is not Bitcoin so much as CBDCs. Like normies are figuring out that if there's this thing called a CBDC, what you're telling me that the government controls all of my money, all my payments, like they can take money, they can put money in, right? Like that on its face is sounds like a really, really bad idea. And you don't have to be a rocket scientist to know that as an American. It just sounds like a bad idea. And there's a lot of Americans out there that get that. In fact, when we met with Senator Blackburn, I asked her, I was like, a lot of your constituents, are they Bitcoiners? Like, why are you hanging out at Bitcoin Park? Like, do you know a lot of people that are getting into Bitcoin and that kind of thing? And her response was, paraphrasing, that, her constituents are very concerned about CBDCs. And that, if Bitcoin is possibly one of the things that fights against that, then maybe we need to know about that kind of a thing.
Yeah. And I think that enough people got a taste of I think that the path was kind of laid for that. I guess the preamble was laid for that with the STEMI checks that came through during the C-19 and all that stuff, because that was kind of hinting at a universal basic income, I believe, and that would of course be distributed using CBDCs. That's that's the real theory.
Do you know how fast the U.S. dollar would go into hyperinflation if we went to CBDCs?
Insane.
It would be crazy. UBI and the UBI through CBDCs. It would be nuts.
If they timed it properly, they would have control of the pricing mechanism already. So they would just flood the system with dollars and just artificially deflate the prices, I bet. Which would be
How
really
would that
bad.
work?
I don't know, but that's something that I've been thinking about. Is if they had some sort of coordination with the businesses, they could, but that's
I don't think so.
That's beyond realistic dooming.
I don't know. I've felt like maybe that's been going on behind the scenes for a couple years now, as I was watching prices of certain things. From now until 21, prices of certain vehicles of new vehicles have gone down. And I'm like, that doesn't make any sense. Now, I do think car prices overall have gone up, probably because people are buying more used cars at higher prices than what used cars used to go for, because they're also doing a lot of things with, it's like they're getting, a lot of these companies are getting rid of V8s. They're going towards all these things. They're trying to meet all these EPA standards, but I think that's kind of coming with okay, but we're going to be in control of your pricing. And which probably also comes with like, but we'll give you money to prop up your stock and stuff. Like, you're going to have lower costs and you're going to take a hit, but we're going to hit you on the back end with stock options.
All of these incentives, all they do is hollow out America. They just make us a suckier country that's bad at everything. You know what I mean? It's like I saw this one guy, he's a contractor, and he's so pissed. Like, he's ranting. It's like a TikTok video, but he's ranting about it. And he's like, look, they send me here and I'm supposed to repair this house because it's got rotten wood, right? And he's showing like the wood that he got from the lumber store. He's like, but this wood's rotten too. So I'm repairing rotten wood with rotten wood. He's like, what is the damn point of all this? And you know, that is basically what America's become. We've become this thing where the quality of the goods are garbage because people will buy them because the money is fiat.
Yes.
You tracking? Like, if you're a Bitcoiner, you already understand low time preference versus high time preference. You already understand. Like, I'm not going to let my Bitcoin go unless the thing I'm letting it go for is the highest quality thing on the planet. Right? If the entire economy was based in people who all their money was stored in a thing, that they're not going to let it go unless it's a high quality thing, that would completely reverse the entire economic engine that we have globally today. Because the whole global engine is based upon print and spend for garbage.
And it would allow for companies that are actually producing a quality product to be able to compete, which would also lead to those companies hiring people of quality experience and knowledge and capability.
Yeah.
And then getting away from all the DEI nonsense, because the DEI nonsense relies on the free money printer.
Oh yeah. Yeah, man. The talent war is a mess.
I want to touch on something here, because I was just having a conversation with somebody, and I've been reading this book that's talking about a chapter was talking about immigration, and it just seems like you have the mainstream narrative of what well, maybe not mainstream. You have the corporate press narrative of what like is going on in immigration, and you're either on the left-hand side or the right-hand side, but neither of those sides seem to be. They're talking about whether it's a good thing or a bad thing to have immigration. But what I'm looking at is, well, they're opening the borders and they're letting all these people in to suppress wages, because that's another way to price control things. And if you bring in a bunch of people and you can suppress wages, that is a very effective way to get inflation under control, because you're not allowing, if wages have to keep going up to meet the previous inflation, then it's kind of like you start to get into a loop. But if you can just tamp down on the wages, yeah, you can bring inflation down, at least in their mind of how they calculate inflation. And I just see that as like a big reason why they're doing this, but neither the left or the right corporate press media ever talks about it from that perspective, because they're all in the fiat game.
Yep. I'm on board with that idea, because like the way it all works is that like you get the majority of the population, which is either middle class or lower, to the point of where they feel poorer, so they're buying less, so there's less actual economic activity in buying, so prices don't necessarily stay deflated, but it's just the lack of economic activity kind of like evens it out, right? Like if the prices were down, the economic activity would be up here, but then you get the reverse. So I could see that.
Yeah, it seems like most of the rules are broken at this point. That's the thing is, you know, when you get into this late stage empire shit, no matter what they do, you know, inflation is going to go crazy. You know, we're just waiting for some shift. You know, we've already seen, what was it, the European Union and Canada start to lower interest rates. You know, that's money printer coming back on.
Yep.
We may not get it in the U.S. in 2024. I guarantee at some point they're gonna do something, because either way it's broken, and they're gonna mess with it. And kind of to your point earlier about the cars, it's the same thing that they do with like the strategic oil reserve, right? The strategic oil reserve, they've emptied it or at least depleted it quite a few times already, but now they've actually come out and been like, hey, we're actually going to dip into the strategic oil reserve so that prices are low going into the election. And so basically what you're getting is subsidized oil. Like, hey, don't worry, guys, we're going to make you guys whole anyway. But at the same time, we're going to do this for quote unquote the people out there, so that we're not frowned on quite as badly by the people that we're trying to get votes from.
The thing that sucks about that is that the first time it was done, that was never replenished. And the whole point of the strategic petroleum reserve is so that our country can fight a war if necessary and have reserves of oil, because everything, all those tanks require fuel, all those planes require fuel, all those ships require
all the fuel. Green energy initiatives require fuel.
And making
and so
requires oil.
Mm-hmm.
So that the SPR just keeps going farther and farther down, and I think that is a travesty, and why there isn't a bigger deal made out of that, I don't know. But
not enough people are complaining about it. And, there's such a huge cognitive shift that needs to take place on a massive scale for us to move forward from this. And it's likely going to take, something unpleasant happening. It's one of those things where it's not really going to change until it hurts so bad that it has to change. Yeah. And it's going to require some pain. That's a hell of a motivator, is a lot of pain. And it's also going to be somewhat of a generational change that's required. So some of the people that are here, they're going to, things will change when they're not here anymore. Yeah. It's a slow process. It's not as quick as we would like it to be. There can be bursts of forward movement, but that's where the education side of it is so important, and getting the word out to people and talking to, hey, look at that. All right. Speaking of education. So, all right, man, it's like we planned that, dude.
Producer tonight.
So, July is going to be an awesome month. Of course, we've got the big conference up there, Bitcoin Veterans. We've got our Citadel. But in addition to that, Bitcoin Veterans is supporting My First Bitcoin, Me Premier Bitcoin, their unconference. So this is an education unconference. It's on the 24th. So it's the day before the big conference starts. And it's about a half a day. I think we're starting at noon. It's in Nashville. It's right there in town. Tickets are on sale right now. Should be on the website. There is a veterans discount. So if you get a hold of Scott at Me Premier Bitcoin, I think it's .io. Can you scroll up? I think his email address is on there down at the bottom. Yeah,
Scott at mepremierbitcoin.io.
If you have questions, get a hold of him. He's the guy. And he can hook you up with your veteran discount. And for everybody else, get in there, check it out. We're going to have some really cool conversations from some leading Bitcoin educators. It's been publicly released, so there are a couple of people that are going to be there. Preston Pish is going to be there talking about some of his experiences in Bitcoin education. Natalie Brunell is going to be there. I think that was just announced today. We're going to have, of course, a handful of Bitcoin veterans are going to be there. We're actually going to be talking, giving a presentation and just talking about our work in educating veterans when it comes to Bitcoin. And it's a hell of a thing. I've been to two of them. I went to one in El Salvador last year and over in Madera at Bitcoin Atlantis this year. And this is one of those events that I'm never going to miss it when it's happening. So I'm going to drop what I'm doing and I'm going to go to this. But check it out. It's awesome. It is limited. There are only 150 tickets will be sold to this. To keep it, we're keeping it small on purpose, so we can maintain the high signal, no noise. It's a great opportunity to network with people and just to have some personal one-on-one conversations with other people who are interested in educating others about Bitcoin. So check it out.
Nice work. That was so smooth. It's like we almost planned it.
That was really good. Yeah.
Speaking of paying attention to what's going on around the world, some of the other events that I noticed, this one popped up today, and I was kind of, I don't know, when you see wins, you got to talk about them a little bit. The U.S. tried to pull off a coup down in South America again. Yep. One of the only states that we haven't actually pulled a coup in Central or South America. This time they tried to go after the Bolivian president, Luis Acre, down there, and it failed miserably. Absolutely failed. They've been parading the guys that attempted this coup in front of the cameras and everywhere else. The cool thing about this was the president actually urged his citizens to fight back against this coup. A lot of them showed up in the streets. A lot of them showed up around the actual presidential palace down there and helped. Apparently, they actually outnumbered the Bolivian troops that were trying to pull off the coup.
It's also a victory that this coup didn't result in those outnumbered soldiers firing on unarmed civilians.
Yeah.
But we were talking about this in a Spaces earlier today. I've been taking part in Colonel Towner's Spaces talking about the Gladio network, and I made this is for those that haven't been kind of like digging into the Gladio Operation Gladio stuff. Like this is probably their number one choice as far as MO is like establishing or carrying through coup d'etats so they can supplant a presidential candidate or whatever that is of their choice that they're aligned with, that tends to be fascist or socialist in nature, and then they use that relationship to gain access to the country's resources. Which, if I'm not incorrect, or if I'm not mistaken, Bolivia is one of the top. I think it's in the
lithium.
The lithium triangle.
Yeah, it's lithium.
Yeah, I just saw a video about it today. That's the only reason I know that. But like that's all stuff that really needs to like be seriously considered when you're seeing stuff like this. And my favorite part, as far as another added on good thing to celebrate from this, is that, in my opinion, it shows that the CIA and the intel communities are falling prey to DEI. So sucks to suck, guys. Your own stupid initiative is causing you guys to fail. So they've literally
gotten rid of the best spies and the guys that were pulling coups and everything else down there. It's just this this failure. You see it at Boeing, you see it across the board, in corporate America right now after what they did in 2021, 2022, when the shot came out and they forced everybody, and everybody worth a damn was like, no, you can shove that shot somewhere else. We're not taking it. We're going to leave. And, these second and third order effects right now that are happening, we're not only seeing that in these corporations, but now, the doors are literally coming off of this empire at what seems like a cyclic rate. This is a huge one. Like how often in history have you heard of failed CIA coups? Rarely. If you hear about CIA coups, they're sometimes 10 years later, like the 2014 coup over in Ukraine, right? It's 10, 12 years later. Everybody's like, oh, none of those guys are still around. So everything's, we've moved on. But this is fresh. And
they'll hide it behind some nonsense theory like magic bullet. Sorry, didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're exactly right. And I would say for the president of Bolivia, this is actually maybe the most dangerous time in his life now. And everybody in Bolivia should be very understanding that if this first attempt didn't work, don't be surprised when that entire compound gets hit with some sort of, I don't know, explosive device or something, really terrible. Where
gas explosion.
Yeah, they don't let things like this slide. They don't like to lose. So obviously guards up down there in Bolivia.
Mm-hmm. Put on some extra sunscreen. You might have a solar flare coming your way.
I also think it speaks to like the failing empire. It is crumbling. It is overstretched. They do not have enough of these operatives to work successfully in all of these countries. They can't maintain it, especially when I think the agency is going very much the way of DOD as far as all this woke stuff and this whole agenda that is just they're not necessarily looking for the most talented people. Not really hating that the CIA isn't good at its job. Like but it's just kind of pointing out it's like another chink in the armor, and it's not like we're the only ones that see it. Like all these other countries are seeing it too.
Help me.
Hakchua. What the hell was that about?
Yeah, okay.
To all the folks out there in the world that don't want to be incinerated by a directed energy weapon, just paint all your rooftops blue. Wear blue clothing. Get blue sleeping bags.
Yes.
Be like Jordan.
I was actually gonna. I love that you said that, Alex. Because I was gonna say after Gabe's comment, maybe we should start donating blue clothing and blue paint to Bolivia.
Oh,
It might need it.
If anybody's gonna prove that that energy weapon is real, it's gonna be in some sort of just non-planned event like that. Like, oops, the sun turned on Bolivia really bright. Sorry, guys.
Yeah. Somebody in the chat was talking about educating the warrior class. That's oh, look at all those blue houses. Blue
Weird. I you know, it's just coincidence, I guess.
and a lot in Asia apparently.
Funny. It's like they're preparing for something.
Oh man.
Interesting.
Anyway, as you were saying, Alex, the educating the warrior class.
Yeah, we're gonna. I mean, Gabe already mentioned it, but that's going to be the title, I believe, of the talk that we're going to be doing at the unconference. So for the Bitcoin veterans panel, it will be peaceful, not harmless, educating the warrior class about Bitcoin.
It's a great title. Is Gary the one that came up with that?
Yeah.
Gary came up
That
with that one.
was
The smart dude, man.
silver-tongued work right there.
He's got a pretty sweet mustache too. I'm just gonna say.
His wife loves it.
Almost as much as he loves sleeping on the couch. Never mind.
So in I guess in absence of a guest this week, story time. I think one of the things that really just endears this group of guys to the crowd that's out there is telling great stories, or just getting to know you a little bit more personally. And I'm curious, world's a weird place right now. There are a lot of people that are coming out of the woodwork that are losing their shit and their mind, and things are tough. I'd really want to take the time and ask you guys, like, yeah, the world is weird. Sometimes it's rough in terms of daily life and daily struggle and all that kind of stuff. What are you guys finding out there that is absolutely kind of the joy of your life, that keeps you going? Comedy, kids, family, something that you're excited about. I'm curious, because I think that's something that needs to be shared in this space, and it's one of those things, especially with mental health on I guess the decline here in the United States. I think we actually have an epidemic of mental health issues, but try to share this kind of positive reinforcement with guys that are out there. What are you doing these days to kind of keep that PMA, positive mental attitude, and find some optimism, just in life right now?
I'll go first, I guess, since but one thing that I've really been pushing, I've had quite a few conversations over the last couple of years with guys that have struggled with a lot of things. And unfortunately, one of the things that helps the most is one of the things that is also taught the least in school systems now, and schools back when I was in high school, would be like philosophy and stoicism. Because I think a lot of the problems in America right now, like from dating to politics to everything else in between, a lot of it comes from lack of like emotional control and even understanding emotions, like their own emotions in general. But there's a lot of problems that come along with that. I have a lot of theories on the men that we sent over to World War II to fight like the greatest evil came back fractured. We didn't know how to treat them. We didn't know how to help them. They raised broken families. Those broken families gave birth to the millennial generation, and now the millennial generation is dealing with social media and all that other stuff. I think there's a lot of problems that come down from that, but we lost a lot of actual quality leadership development and manhood and masculine development along the way. And stoicism, in my opinion, is one of the greatest roots for that, of just like, hey, this is like, it sucks right now, but this is an opportunity to prove that you can do it, and then you deserve the light at the end of the tunnel, right? Like that's one of the ways that I make it through difficult and hard times. And it's helped a lot of guys in the last couple of years. So hope that helps somebody else.
It's really cool, man.
Yeah, I was gonna say the things that like I definitely don't, I hadn't characterized it like that, but maybe now I'll start to think about it more like that. But like working out and like getting out in nature, and like whether it's a hike or camping or what, just being around, just in nature, are a couple of things that like really motivate me and excite me. And I think there's probably, hearing you describe that and thinking about what I was going to say, kind of makes me think like there's probably something to it. Like even when things suck, it's like I want things to suck a little bit. I want to go through something that's trying and is difficult, because like especially in the Western world, like we live pretty comfortable lives. Like you don't have to work hard or be very tough if you don't want to be, but there's no challenge in that. And I kind of, some of the things I miss about the military was like being challenged on so many things all the time. And I think that's what I've kind of been trying to do lately, is reincorporate those things that like motivated me when I was in the Army, to like, here's a goal. I want to go see if I can achieve this goal. And I don't really have that anymore, but there's still plenty of opportunities out there in the world today to go challenge yourself and continue to push yourself and see what you're still like capable of.
One of the best things, as all of us guys will definitely remember from like military, is one of the best feelings is when you're with some guys, you talk about what you're about to do, and one of them goes, "Man, this is gonna suck," and then you just look at him with a smile, and you're like, "Yeah."
Yeah.
Like, we're gonna deadlift 315 or 405 for reps. This is gonna suck. It's like, yes, it is. Let's go get it.
Hell yeah. Yeah, man. And it's, I think, staying active, like you were saying, Jordan, that's a given, and it's got to happen. And I think that the more active we are, the more sense of a purpose we're going to have, because we're designed for motion. We're designed for action. We're designed to do things. And when we're not doing things, then there's a part of us on the inside that knows that we should be doing something, and that, if we're not doing something, then what purpose do we really have? And I mean, that's something that especially I've seen very prevalently in Bitcoin, is people are very action oriented in the Bitcoin community, especially in the Bitcoin veterans community. But I mean, the broader community, you're seeing people are very action oriented, and they're staying busy, and there is a higher degree in general of focus on health, focus on relationships, focus on having babies. Tucker Carlson, when he was skull dragging some reporter yesterday on this thing I saw, he said, we're not replacing ourselves, like meaning like make more babies, because people aren't happy because the financial system sucks. And he said, when people are happy, they make babies, and people are happy when the financial system is solid effectively. And so, I think the thing that I'm seeing the most of, that is, that keeps me positive and keeps me hopeful, is just the human element of all of this. And it's almost ironic in a way, because, Bitcoin, it's about, there's such a strong technological element to it, but really, I mean, I believe that it brings out the best of humanity, and it brings us together as humans are meant to be. And just seeing the creativity that takes place, and the drive that people have to contribute to this, and to find their own avenue to seek out their proof of work, it's inspiring. I think it's awesome. And I'm just, and I know, Mike, you've talked about it a lot. You've written about it a lot, with this new age of this renaissance that we're heading into, and I'm seeing it, and it's inspirational, because I believe that the thing that makes us mostly the mostly unique thing about humans is our ability to create things in an artistically expressive way. And I'm seeing more and more of that happen now. And it's just, I think it's awesome. I think that we're going into an amazing time in the story of humanity. And I believe that Bitcoin is a huge part of that. And I know that a lot of Bitcoiners, they haven't really met each other in person yet. And there's a lot of Bitcoin veterans that have not met each other in real life yet. And I'm letting you know, guys, when we descend upon Nashville, and we're shaking hands and we're high-fiving and hugging and just spending time with one another, it completely changes everything. It completely changes everything. And after we figure out who all the feds are and then get rid of them, we're gonna have a blast.
Gabe, you're not supposed to say the last part.
Oh, well, that's all right. We already know.
No, I say get that Fed right next to you and be like, and just fuck with him. Like,
that's right.
Just go right to the edge and be like, but we're really fucking peaceful, dude. So you're just wasting your time. It's pretty fun to fuck with feds. I don't know if you guys have tried it. Like, go hang out with an FBI dude and just like fuck with them.
Oh yeah,
it's pretty fun.
We already know who they are anyway, so it's okay.
To the point of what Shane was saying, tuning up your life and all that other kind of stuff. There's a couple of thoughts here. Number one, and this is maybe for the younger guys. This is like stuff that I learned like the hard way. Had to have mentors, had to have people teach me this stuff. I didn't come up with this on my own. And I mean, this is also kind of stuff that successful guys can forget from time to time. But it's like there's a saying, garbage in, garbage out. Whatever you put into your brain matters. And if you aren't actively filtering the things that go into your mind on purpose, you might be making a mistake, because the books that you read, the stuff that you listen to, the human beings you choose to hang around with and associate with on a regular basis. There's a saying, you show me the books you're reading and the 5 people you hang around with the most, and I'll tell you where you're going to be 5 years from now. I think it's probably pretty accurate. There's another saying that whatever it is that goes into your head, whether it's stuff you're reading, people you're listening to, all that other kind of stuff, is going to cause you to think about certain things. And those thoughts, you may not realize it or not, but these form your mental habits, and your mental habits form the words that come out of your mouth. And believe it or not, the words that come out of your mouth starts to form the actions that you take. The actions that you take turn into your daily habits. Your daily habits turns into your character or lack thereof. Every decision you've made in your entire life has determined where you are right now. They all add up, all the little ones, right? So if you're out there and you're hearing me right now and it ain't so great, start changing that, man. Start making better decisions. Start changing who you're hanging around with. Get with guys that are going to hold you accountable as brothers, not just be jerks to you, put you down, all that kind of crap, but lift you up, like make you better, make you a better man. Like that's what you want to surround yourself with. You want to surround yourself with dudes that are going to do that for you. Then they got to be guys that you respect enough to give a crap. Like that's the other part of it. You know what I mean? If you've got a bunch of dudes in your life that you don't have any respect for, well, then it doesn't matter what they say so much. You may not, they might be like, you need to get better, Mike. And you're like, shut up, dude. Right?
Yeah.
So find guys that you respect greatly. Get around them, and hopefully these guys they're hard charging dudes, and they're gonna make you want to be better. And then the last thing I must say is that I think this is something that is not talked about enough in our world today. I think there's a massive vacuum and void when it comes to spiritual, emotional development and maturity. There's just not a lot of people who understand this stuff, and if they do, they're not talking about it much. And there's a lot of people who don't understand this stuff, and because of that, they just have no foundation when it comes to these kinds of things. So I'm going to finish that part. I mean, that part can go pretty deep, so I'm not going to belabor the point, but I will tell you that the 2 things that I do in that area, number 1, and this is not meant to be a sermon, I'm just telling you what I do. Okay, so take it for what it's worth. They treat it like a buffet. If you like it, take it. If you don't, then that's fine. But I read the Bible, man. And not only do I read it out loud. Faith comes by hearing. Hearing what? Hearing the word of God. And if it's coming from your own mouth, let me tell you something, that is way more powerful than hearing somebody else say it. So that's the first thing. Second thing is meditate on that thing. Think about what it means, right? Like do that. and it will start to become clear and make more sense. And then finally, I highly, highly recommend for those dudes who are out there who have issues with like anxiety and like, fear and all this other kind of stuff. Look into meditation, transcendental meditation. In fact, I'll give you some practical stuff to do here. Look up this guy named Joe Dispenza, Dr. Joe Dispenza. Go get his books, go listen to his stuff, go watch his interviews. And then, by the way, I recommend reading something about the guy and learning about the guy before you immediately start listening to his guided meditations. He's got these guided meditations that you can do that will help you get your crap together when it comes to dealing with emotions that you feel like you're not in control of. If you feel like you're going down this dark kind of spiral of negative emotional, mental, spiritual stuff, you got to cut it off. You got to fix it. And you can actively do that. There are ways you can actively do that, but you need to learn the tools. And I'm just going to leave it at that because there's a lot to unpack there.
I love it. I love that there's a common thread and a theme in all of this. And I guess I'll round it out. My mornings have shifted. Usually at about 5 o'clock, I'm headed to the gym. We're going to, get together. We're going to roll with some guys and get some pain in, get some humble pie and all that fun stuff. And I think, that human contact, first and foremost, there's a lot of you guys out there in the past 4 years that have either switched professions, your life has changed. There's a lot of teleworking now from home and all that fun stuff. And you're probably at home in an office separated from human contact, probably more so than any generations in history. This is really, if you don't know, this is torture. I mean, literally in 2020, when they locked everybody down and, nobody's going anywhere and doing anything, breaking that human contact, that toroidal sphere that you produce, where you've got energy and energy overlaying with other people's energy at the same time, like that is a real thing. And I don't think people really understand how much it affects their life. Like, go out and learn and talk in like, Jordan and everybody else was saying in here is like, get into some uncomfortable situations, have, some controlled pain, some controlled humility, things like that. If martial arts aren't your thing, find another way to do it, whether it's CrossFit or, something like that. But that was something that really starts my day off right. Is started off with a challenge. Go out there, it's like making your bed. Go out there after you make your bed and get after it a little bit, get a sweat on and accomplish something that's hard the first thing in your day. And you'd be surprised. Like, you not only have you accomplished something, but now, you're set up for the rest of the day to go and accomplish things that are probably easier than you started out with, which, most of life. Because my schedule has shifted now and classes are at different times, and we've decided, yeah, you know what, we'll hit practice at night as a family. So I've got, all three of my kids and my wife on the mat at the same time, and having, a mob, right? Having your mob walk into a class and you guys are, either half or 1/3 of the class it's a good feeling. It's a good feeling to see, your entire family engaging in something that is hard and physical and humbling all at the same time. But this has opened up my mornings for what I love is my summer hikes, right? I get in about 4 miles in the morning in the North Georgia mountains out here with the dogs before anybody's up doing anything most of the time, barely, light outside. And during these things, I get to actually do a little bit of study, get to listen to some books, whereas, being tied to a desk a lot of times, not a lot of time to read. With 3 kids and a wife and dogs and homesteading, there's not a lot of time to, actually physically read. So some of the things that I've been digesting, very along the lines of what Alex has, the Apocryphal, if you guys haven't read that, pretty incredible. There is also the Emerald Tablets of Thoth and the Book of Enoch. And I've got to highly, highly recommend pouring through some of these things. It's stuff that is, lost in history, things that have been omitted from things that are even in the Bible, in terms of the Book of Enoch. And this perspective has changed a lot of things within our family, where now we have put into practice a nightly family get together where we have some verses from the Bible, and we talk about it, and we talk about the real life applications. And sometimes I share some things with kids that are, life experiences for me that help those guys out. To see all of this growing, to watch another generation get some of the life secrets or life hacks and that knowledge of how to go about their life, the daily practices of like, you know, what religion is, right? What is your religion? Well, it's what you practice. It's what you gaze at. It's what you read. It's what you know, digest on a daily basis. And to see these kids now taking up that practice, that religion, where it is, you know, constantly going in, working your butt off, constantly studying, learning something that is going to help apply yourself to this world where you're not only going to, you know, go out there and do something, but you're going to do something extraordinary for humanity. I got to talk to a guy in Japan this week, another Marine who's done the same thing. He's a little bit further ahead with his kids. And the success that they have been met with and what they are achieving, you know, where they're reading in 2 different languages, they're studying in Japanese, and they're doing, you know, jujitsu, and they're, you know, launching a business in a foreign country that is super successful. If you guys are looking for optimism, this is the type of crowd that's going to help you find the better version of yourself so that you can help make other better versions of yourself for the next, you know, the next generation. And that's your legacy. So, you know, I hope this maybe helps everybody out there. It's good to hear, you know, that, you know, there is that common strand, and that everybody in this group and within, you know, the sound of our voice, I think is very much aligned on this. But I think we'll probably wrap it up there. Any other closing remarks before we get going, guys?
I have, well, I'll make 2 quickly. One is that I think we need to do this again, is specifically talk about just the spirituality and like emotionality and stuff like that, clearly, because we have a lot to say, and I think there's probably a lot more we can all say. So look forward to that in the future. And then the last thing, the only other thing that I wanted to mention was with you guys both mentioning kind of meditative practices for those that haven't tried it before. There are multiple ways to meditate, but one that I would recommend for those going through the deepest, darkest dredges of like whatever valley they're going through. What helped me most was a meditation of practicing just clearing the mind and just not thinking about anything at all. And like that sounds easy. You can do it in the moment throughout the day when you need to, but when you're stressed out the most, is when you need it the most, and it's the most difficult. And it like you just practice it by setting a timer, spending 60 seconds not thinking about it, and then work up to half an hour. And then like when you can clear your mind, you can really, really meditate on the things that like Alex is talking about to powerful extent. And that's all I wanted to add.
Awesome, guys. It's been a pleasure. Jordan, Gabe, Alex, Mike, thank you guys. It's been too long since we've all had a show like this, and it's been a really good show. For everybody out there, thank you guys for tuning in. Everybody in the Bitcoin veterans universe out here, if you're not part of it and you want to be part of this, get a hold of us. You can get a hold of us through Twitter at Bitcoin Veterans, and we will plug you into whatever chats you want to be part of. And if you want to launch your own and do something within Bitcoin Veterans, we encourage that wholly. We will be back here next week, Thursday, 7 p.m., same time, same channel. And go out there, maybe share this with some friends. Like it, share it, do all the things. And we will see you guys here next week. Peace.